NTV at 1 begins right now. My name is Ken Mijungu. Roadblocks leading in and out of the metropolitan area of Kajiado County have been once again adjusted. The roadblock initially placed at the Kiserian area has been moved to Oletepes and Konabaridi area, while the Ngere roadblock has been moved to Kibiko area. Now, the adjustments were made after an outcry from the residents living in the area and working right here in the capital, who complained that they were experiencing difficulties accessing their workplaces and their businesses. Now, the area leaders also agreed to allow sand harvesting trucks to move in and out of the metropolitan area, but with strict instructions to carry only 2 passengers. The roadblock had been erected after President Kenyatta issued the directive to limit movement in and out of the Nairobi metropolitan. Mombasa, Kilifi and Kwale areas have also been affected, a measure aimed at cutting the spread of COVID-19 disease.
Walitoa pale ilikuwa mwanzo kwa sababu watu wengi ambao wanafanya kazi area hii wanaenda Nairobi. Wanalala hapo wanaenda kazi Nairobi. Na pia wengi wanaenda pale Kiserian kufanya biashara zao. Hapo walifanya vizuri iwe hapa. Kwa hivyo ningetaka sasa ikae hapa kwa muda, iwe permanent hapa mpaka tumalize ile siku ambayo rais alisema.
Tungependa tu kusema hii sio kupanisha wananchi. Hii ni kusaidia. Hatuko hapa kwa harass mtu yoyote, tuko hapa kuimplement ile order, na tungeomba wananchi wasiwe arrogant wakiwa hapa, juu tunatimiza kazi yetu na tunawasaidia. Na ningependa pia marafiki ambao wanatupigia simu, hii sio mambo ya marafiki, hii ni kazi na hii ni ya kusaidia wananchi wa Kenya wote.
And from Kajiado to Embu, where the County Commissioner Abdullahi Galgao is sending a stern warning to those taking advantage of the curfew to break into houses and business premises. According to the County Commissioner, the rate of crime has been on the increase during the dead of the night, and those committing the crimes will not be spared.
Such scenes are now becoming a common feature in Embu town as the nighttime curfew takes effect. Business people are left counting losses as they retreat to their homes. Residents say a group of youth operating between Embu town and Keretere has been breaking into their premises. On Thursday, a security guard manning a pub in Keretere was murdered in cold blood at around 2 a.m.
Walikuwa wamevalia maguo kama ngedhani askari, lakini juu hatukuwaona face yao. Walikuwa na kabuti na hizi mabuti za askari. Sasa hakuwa wanaonekana sura, lakini vile walituona walikimbia.
There are worries, however, whether the night robberies are being executed by ordinary robbers or the police themselves, who are tasked with protecting property when everybody else is obeying the curfew rule.
Mimi nimerudi zero na sina biashara kubwa. Tuliambiwa na president tuende curfew na vitu zetu zitachungwa. Jameni, hii ndio kuchungiwa, tunachungiwa vitu kama mfanyabiashara kama mimi karibu na gate ya polisi. Polisi nimeneimba polisi.
Kumbe sisi tukienda kulala, kuna watu nao wanaachwa usiku kufanya operation yao kutuibia. Sisi tutaenda wapi jameni?
But as the cases escalate and traders get desperate, the county commissioner is getting concerned. He says the matter is under investigation.
Don't say the police are trigger happy wakati jambazi ambaye ameiba amepatikana amenyoroshwa. The police are not trigger happy. It is your son or your relative who is happy to die. That's why ameenda kuiba duka ya wenyewe wakati wenyewe wameacha kwa sababu ya kuheshimu amri ya rais. Wewe unavunja amri, unaenda kuiba. So akinyoroshwa si ni sawa sawa? Sitaeleza maana ya kunyorosha ni kitu gani.
The county commissioner has also called on the privileged in the county to come together and help the less fortunate, as in partnership with the county government. Kennedy Muredhi, NTV.
Well, Trigger Happy just got a new definition right there from the county commissioner. The elderly are part of the vulnerable groups during the COVID-19 pandemic. The situation is particularly dire for the elderly women in pastoralist community. Cognizant of the potential risks, well-wishers combined efforts to support hundreds of elderly Maasai women from Kajiado Central Sub-County. The women were taught proper hygiene, among other vital lessons.
At Nginye village, a group of women has translated the government's directive in the local language in a bid to help those in the community understand the new realities. The elderly women were sensitized on social distancing and hygiene.
What we're trying to do is to educate our community. Just have a demonstration.
Those without face masks covered their mouths and noses with their lassos. For a community that life revolves around collective living and social contact, it is important that they understand the measures against the coronavirus, as drastic as they may appear to them.
Sisi huwa tunakaanga pamoja. Kama ni kushona tunashona pamoja. Kama ni mambo ya kutembea tuseme kuni tunatembea pamoja.
The community also has to ensure hygiene standards are improved despite the shortage of water.
Most people do not even have water to drink at home, leave alone for washing hands.
A group of well-wishers known as Ilaramatak donated food, soap and water containers to the community. The local leaders have urged the government to seek better ways of communicating to the illiterate people in rural areas. Nayoma Sampao, NTV.
Now, they say necessity is the mother of inventions. The fight against coronavirus has seen many young Kenyans come up with different ways to galvanize the fight. One such Kenyan is 22-year-old man from Taita Taveta. Now, the young man has come up with a contraption which actually works very well in ensuring his neighbors clean their hands without touching taps and soap dispensers.
Naitwa Agustino Samanya kutoka Taveta, eneo la Lake Chala. Niko na project hapa ya automated hand wash. Sababu kuu ya kuja na hii project ni kwamba niliona jinsi virusi hivi vya corona vinavyosambaa kwa wingi. Ndio maana nikaamua kuja nayo, sababu nilikuwa naona mtu anapoenda kunawa mikono kwa hizi tapu za kawaida, anapotoka kunawa mikono anaacha germs, na hiyo mwingine anapokuja anabeba hizo germs bado anaenda nazo. Inatumia Arduino. Kwa hiyo kwa upande wa maji Arduino kuna servo motor ambao kuna pia solenoid valve yenye na lock hiyo maji, alafu kuna sensor yenye ambayo ina calibrate hiyo distance yenye unaiwekea ifanye kwa distance gani. Hii ni ya pili. Ile ya kwanza tulianza nayo ilikuwa ni just a prototype, ilikuwa 10 liters. So nilipoona ime succeed, so nikaamua kutengeneza 50 liters. But for now naweza tengeneza hadi ya 10,000 liters and above. Hii sasa naenda nikidonate kila county, nikiweka moja kulingana na uwezo huu. Nimeanza tu kutoa 2, so for the time being tunaweza weka hata zaidi ya hii moja, na kwa siku naweza tengeneza kama 5 hivi. Alafu moto inatumia stima, pia unaweza tumia battery ama solar. The reason as to tumetumia stima, hizo cost ya battery iko juu. Kwa jumla hiyo imetumia 15,000. Hiyo material yake tu kuja na hizo material kuja nayo.
Beauty and barbershop operators want the Murang'a County government to allow them to continue with their businesses. The group says they are struggling to feed their families since Governor Mwangi wa Iria ordered the closure of their businesses 2 weeks ago, terming them as breeding grounds for the coronavirus. Speaking after meeting in Murang'a town, they appealed to the county government to consider revoking that order, saying they are ready to adhere to the laid down public health guidelines. They said most of them were the breadwinners in their families, and without their businesses, their families are struggling to survive. Wairia closed down the shop, saying it will be impossible to maintain the required social distance between the operators and their clients.
Tuko na watu tumeajiri. Hao watu tumeajiri walikuwa pale on the ground kwa food kwa vijana. Na tunakumbuka hiyo ni project ilianzishwa na our governor Mwangi wa Iria. Na tunaomba sasa hao watoto watakufa njaa, na sisi pia tutakufa njaa sababu hatuna kitu cha kujimudu.
Kuna wengine wetu ambao hawana mabwana, ni wao tegemeo nyumbani kwao, hata wazazi wao wanawategemea, na kazi zetu tu hizi za salon ndizo tu zinatupatianga riziki yetu. Kwa hivyo tunataka kuappeal to our governor, please tukubalishe turudi kazi.
Na tunajua anasema no wera tu, na tunakubali na hiyo. Akubali tuendelee na kazi yetu, na tutaangalia ile maneno yote Ministry of Health through Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe tutayafuatilia.
I hope the governor hears them. Mandara town and its environs have been cut off from the rest of the country due to mobile phone network outage for the last 5 days. Now, residents are now raising concerns, especially now during the COVID-19 pandemic.
It has been 5 days of frustration and anxiety for residents of Mandara after an unprecedented mobile network outage.
As a result of the spread of coronavirus, we have saved all our cash in our M-Shwari and our KCB and Pesa account. But unfortunately, for the last 4 days, we are not able to withdraw any amount of money.
Since with the sickness now, we have a lot of sickness which is going on. And then people are suffering. We don't know our members who are suffering. We cannot communicate to them because of this.
Most of the local mobile phone networks have been in and out of the service for the past 5 days. This has forced residents to seek internet and call service from a telecommunication provider from Somalia, which is accessible at the border town of Bulahawa.
Option lenye tulipata ni hizi lines za Somalia Hormuz, alafu bei yao kiasi pia imepanda. Zamani hapo home town yao ni 200, hapa ni 300, so pia pande ya credit pia wanaweza kuongezesha.
Residents claim the blackout has hampered the county's effort in combating the spread of the coronavirus. They further claim that the hotline numbers are unreachable. Ahmed Abdi, NTV, Mandara.
Away from Mandara to Wangige, where the market traders have welcomed the move by the county government to reopen the market after it was closed about 3 weeks ago due to the COVID-19. The market was closed for fumigation as well as restructuring it in a bid to conform with the guidelines set by the Ministry of Health. The move was received by the traders, who celebrated as Governor James Nyoro reopened the Kiambu county-based market. The governor also promised to have the road leading to the market reconstructed to enable smooth running and operations.
Tutaendelea kufanya fumigation na tumetengeneza timu ya vijana 30 wawe wakisafisha hapa, na tutaongeza mitungi ya maji na sabuni kwa hisani ya kupigana na COVID.
Now, 50,000 households in Kilifi County will receive food donations starting Monday amid the COVID-19 pandemic, according to Aiden Mohammed, who is in charge of the Kilifi County Emergency Relief and Household Support Program. The food donations will be repackaged and dropped at the beneficiaries' doorsteps. The beneficiaries include people living with disabilities, the elderly, widows, and, of course, the orphans. Also, the Chandaria Foundation has donated water tanks in support of the fight against COVID-19 in Kibra. The water tanks will boost UN Habitat efforts that aim at ensuring all residents in Kibra wash their hands using soap and water as one of the measures to curb the spread of the virus. The water tanks set up in different parts of Kibra will bridge the gap when it comes to challenges facing slum dwellers in the fight against the pandemic. The foundation now says it's looking into partnering with other health organizations to ensure there's access of clean water in the informal settlements. Right, on that note, we take a short break, but we still have a lot more, so stay with us. We'll be back.
Maritime tips brought to you by Kenya Maritime Authority. Precautions for vessel and boat owners, operators, coxswains and passengers. Personal hygiene. Practice frequent hand hygiene, coughing and sneezing etiquette. clean and disinfect frequently touched objects and surfaces on board the boats and vessels such as steering wheel, safety or guardrails and seats. Crew members, coxswains and passengers to regularly disinfect life jackets, practice frequent hand washing with soap, wear a mask on board a boat or vessel. Boat owners and operators to comply with government directives on movement restrictions within counties. Kenya Maritime Authority for safe and efficient water transport.
Discovered the world-famous Molfix and saw the difference. Let's see how absorbent Molfix is. Molfix, thanks to its ultra-absorbent particles, can keep more liquid than the other diaper brand, so you can use it comfortably all day long. All babies deserve a high-quality diaper. You should also try Molfix.
My name is Mattiesco Keapu Ruapio. It's easier just to call me Mr. What. I've spent 22 years in prison for a crime I did not commit. My biggest hope is that my father will find his way through the fog and confusion and take hold of the glorious truth that his son is indeed an innocent man. Mr. What?
Heaviness and a burning inside, it could be heartburn.
Indigestion and heartburn? Eno gets to work in 6 seconds and works on the 6 symptoms of heartburn so you can keep living life non-stop. Eno, fight heartburn and indigestion fast.
Let's cross the border. The World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus warns of a worrying trend emerging in Africa, with the continent's confirmed cases having surged to more than 15,000 on Friday. Africa has now reported about 1,000 deaths attributed to COVID-19, something which the WHO says is of grave concern.
In his address, the WHO Director General decried a 51% increase in the number of COVID-19 cases over the last 1 week in Africa, with a 61% increase in the number of deaths reported over the same period. The WHO is now calling for greater oversight over the sanitary conditions in wet markets in Africa and across the globe to help stem the spread of the disease.
Wet markets, as you know, are an important source of affordable food and livelihood for millions of people all over the world. But in many places, they have been poorly regulated and poorly maintained.
This comes against the backdrop of the passing on of Abba Kyari, who served as the Chief of Staff of Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari. According to a statement from the Office of the President in Nigeria, Kyari died after contracting the novel coronavirus, the presidency said on Saturday. Kyari, in his 70s, is the highest profile person in Nigeria to be killed by the virus that has caused 493 confirmed infections and 17 deaths in the country. Meanwhile, the United Nations Refugee Agency UNHCR has stepped up efforts across West and Central Africa to protect millions of vulnerable people who are facing a renewed risk from the combined effects of conflict and the coronavirus pandemic. West and Central Africa has one of Africa's largest displaced population, with some 5.6 million internally displaced, 1.3 million refugees, 1.4 million returnees who still need assistance, and 1.6 million stateless persons. Communities hosting refugees are now stepping up measures in light of elevated risks.
That the thing is real. So in fact, they have even placed rubber here for us to be washing our hands and to be very careful. We should not go out, we should remain indoors.
Welcome to our regular... And on the global scene, the aggregate world coronavirus deaths surged past 150,000 on Friday, as US President Donald Trump accused China of continuing to cover up its toll, even after Beijing revised figures sharply upward for Wuhan, the original epicenter of the global pandemic. COVID-19 fatalities mounted in the United States and hard-hit Western Europe countries even as the WHO warned that most countries are likely to revise upward their number of infected persons following the precedent set by China regarding the deaths in Wuhan. Wuhan added 1,290 deaths to its toll, raising the total number to 3,869 and added a further 325 cases, bringing the number of infections to 50,333. The daily number of confirmed deaths across the globe remains high at over 8,800. Out of the more than 150,000 total cases since the outbreak erupted, the United States has recorded 36,733, Italy 22,745, Spain 19,478, and France 18,681. Julians Amboko, NTV.
Now, elsewhere, Tunisian engineers have created a web-based platform that scans lung x-rays and evaluates whether patients are likely to be suffering from the coronavirus. While it's not the first initiative of its kind in the world, its creators say it's the first to be openly available. And though not a diagnostic tool, the technology provides a 90% reliable indication of the probability of infection, they add. Now, teachers and students at the Tunisian Engineering and Technology Institute, ISET, have been developing the platform since mid-March with the support of German development agency, that's GIZ, the Italian Society of Medical Radiology, and US tech giant IBM. Now, thousands of x-rays of the lungs of both healthy people and COVID-19 patients have been fed into the platform, allowing artificial intelligence to learn to recognize the marks of the virus on the lungs. Now, different lobby groups in Nairobi have come together to protest an alleged grabbing of a piece of land in Parklands area by developers. According to the lobby groups, the grabbed piece of land had a hospital that was reportedly brought down to pave way for the construction of high-rise apartments. The lobby groups now say the grabbers are taking advantage of the COVID-19 pandemic to continue with the construction of the piece of land. The lobby groups, mainly based in High Ridge, say there is a court order against the ongoing construction, but it has been disregarded. Their efforts to get police from Parklands police station to effect the court order has proven futile. They now want the city's governor, Mike Mbuvi Sonko, or the Nairobi Metropolitan Service team to stop the construction and rebuild the hospital, which has been of great help to those in the informal settlements.
Well, this place is a public, it is supposed to be a public hospital ambayo imekuwa ikisaidia sana hasa watu ambao wako na mshahara ya chini. Wakati huo kitambo, kabla hii hospitali bomolewe, kuna watu walikuwa wanatibiwa pale, mama alikuwa anazaa na shilingi 20. Saa hizi yule mama ambaye ni maskini hawezi kuzaa hapo kwa hiyo hospitali because wameshabomoa. So another alternative wako nayo ni kwenda Kakana Hospital.
Inajengwa usiku na mchana. Even security inapewa. Paka tumemweleza Mr. OCS, hii security inawekwa kwa hiyo ground inawekwa na njia gani? Kama si hatuwezi pewa security, tuvae mask, tuvae vitu zinahitajika, tuende hapo, tufuate sheria ya 2 meters, to demonstrate kihaki, hii mali ya raia irudi.
Watu wa Madhare wote, Wagashie wote walikuwa kujanga hii hospitali. Na mpaka Deep Sea wote, High Ridge wote.
Now to some politics. The Registrar of Political Parties has now thrown back the case lodged by a section of Jubilee leaders protesting the appointment of 5 members to the National Management Committee back to the party organs, saying the matter had not been prosecuted conclusively. In a move seen as that of the registrar distancing herself from the wrangles, now pitting a group allied to Deputy President William Ruto and another allied to President Uhuru Kenyatta, the registrar noted that she had indeed received 350 objections against the intended changes. She is now calling on the party to listen to the complaints before changes are effected. To this end, DP Ruto allies see this as a window for their concerns to be heard before the National Executive Committee, which is charged with making key party decisions. DP Ruto allies led by Jubilee Party Deputy Secretary Generals have categorically stated that the said changes were null and void and thus are in violation of the party's laid down laws. They have threatened to move to the political parties tribunal if their cries are not listened to and acted upon.
11 items.
And the COVID-19 crisis has in fact brought out the best in some of the police officers. NTV's Lois Wangoi brings us the story of the police officer in Tot, that's in Elgeyo Marakwet County, arming her community against the pandemic with face masks that she's making herself.
Tot village stands out as a blip in the breathtaking Kerio Valley, tucked away on the edge of the map. But here at the Tot police station, we find yet another of these small villages' outstanding features. 29-year-old police constable Caroline McKenna is a frontline hero, armed with not just her gun but her sewing kit. She has been taking her time and money to make masks for the community, which she distributes for free. She has been here since last year in these troubled lands known better for cattle rustling and banditry.
It's called Tot. Many people call it territory of trouble, others call it a town of trouble.
But now she is easing the residents' trouble of getting their hands on face masks that medical experts advise go a long way in offering protection from infections. For now, she is their beacon of hope in these bleak times. Her motivation, not just to enforce government guidelines, but to ensure the safety of her people whose lives have barely left the ground.
So I went to my friends and asked for a sewing machine. I got one. I realized I can also improvise the materials. So with the new NEMA paper bags, the carrier bags, I sent someone who bought me 50 pieces at 350. I also sent for a thread at 20 shillings.
Caroline makes these masks daily. While on duty, she produces 30 pieces. On her off days, she makes 70 pieces.
A mask that doesn't pull your ears, a mask that doesn't depend on the size of your hand. Just put it on like this.
In the war against the pandemic, the police constable has found help from her new recruit. Caroline Chepkosgei helps her produce the masks.
It has a lot of challenges. It's not stable. I have to support it with a stone. It's not stable, but it's working. The biggest challenge is that it's very tiresome.
On this day, we join her in her mission to distribute these protective equipment to her community.
In fact, whenever I'm buying my own sanitaries, I don't buy a single pack for myself. I may buy a dozen and above, which is not actually very expensive. It's less than 1,000. And then I would have them in my house. In case any girl needs them, they would come and pick from my house.
In the evening, you will find her at Tot Trading Center distributing her free masks. Her mission takes her and her colleagues to the remote nerves of her community.
Been working around the ward with the public health officers, the Minister of Health, the police, and other law enforcers to ensure that all the people comply with the regulations.
Lois Wangoi, NTV, in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet.
And in sports, ex-football star Didier Drogba and Al Salfo, vocal lead for the group Magic System, hand out food and hygiene kits to 200 families in Abidjan as part of the fight against the coronavirus. Now, the two helped pay for the support of families by their respective foundations, the European Union and the company. In total, 1,000 families from 11 towns in the Abidjan district, the economic capital of Ivory Coast, which has 5 million inhabitants, received prevention materials against the coronavirus and food. Drogba already offered last Sunday to the government his foundation's hospital to turn it into a coronavirus detection center. Ivory Coast has 688 cases of the coronavirus with 6 deaths, according to the latest official balance published on Thursday.
These people have always been there, have always shown their love for us, and if we can come back to these people, if only to share a little bit of what we have with them, that is a good thing.
Partager un petit bout de ce que nous avons avec ces populations, c'est toujours quelque chose de bien.
Parce que le monde traverse une période.
The world is going through a very difficult period, a period of pandemic, and when we talk about pandemic, it's really something worldwide, so we need everybody's help. We need everybody's support, even from you, from the most deprived populations.
Populations les plus démunies.
Away from that, wrestling is a popular sport in Senegal, and Senegalese wrestling champion Moussa Diop has been forced to take his preparations for his next big fight indoors due to the coronavirus pandemic. Now, Moussa Diop, also known in the ring as Serigne Ndiaye 2, currently trains in a gym opened exclusively for him by his coach and on the rooftop of his house in the densely populated center of Dakar, where maintaining social distancing is a real challenge. The 24-year-old heavyweight usually trains on the beaches of Dakar along with many other stars of the popular sport. He now trains privately with his coach while respecting safety measures to avoid infection. Since Senegal proclaimed a state of emergency in mid-March, the country has confirmed more than 300 coronavirus cases with 2 deaths.